Okay, so for today's lesson, I'm going to be helping you reading some drug labels, and I'm going to post these on YouTube, and that way you can use those to help you in your homework for this week. I apologize, I've been out this week with an illness, and I'm trying to get everything caught back up. So I'm going to just start with some pretty generic drug labels that you may see or may run into in your nursing career, and then I'm going to plug in all of the information that's it's asked in your questions. So first and foremost, I have on this particular drug label, again, I printed it off, well, I actually copied and pasted it, so I could see the information that we need in order to solve the problems. And I'm going to say what we need to solve the problems are: what is the dosage concentration is concentration what is the total volume of vial, and then what routes of administration. So we have three things that this particular question is asking us to solve for, and at first we want to look at what is the concentration of this medicine. And if you look back in your book as far as definitions of drug labels, concentration strengths, so on and so forth, you have to be able to pull out in a wording problem and to figure out, yes, we have medicine in there, but what is it in? Is it in the form of a tablet? Is it in the form of a spray? Is it in the form of a suppository? Is it in the form of a liquid? So all of those things, when we're looking at that, that's what we're looking for as what is the concentration of this medicine. With every drug that you ever pull out of a medication, whether that be pulling it out of a container where you're taking Tylenol, or from drawing it up in a syringe from an insulin vial, or maybe you're needing to draw it up from a pediatric dose of antibiotic that you have to get X amount of this antibiotic to give to the patient. So what I'm getting at here is you have to look, as far as the concentration goes, you have to look at what goes with that concentration, because that will tell us a lot about reading drug labels. So let's look through here, and I'm going to say for our purposes right now that we're going to focus really on this right side of the drug label itself, and I really made it big so hopefully we can all see it. But in the first line we have 125 milligrams per or in 5 milliliters. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down here, 125 milligrams per 5 milliliters. And then we have augmentin. Well, it didn't ask us our trade or generic name, so I'm just going to add those down here. So when you were looking through this text, you should have realized that trade names are always going to be capitalized, and they're going to be followed by a trademark symbol. So in this one, it's capitalized with an A, and then it has the I think that's an R, which means that it's trademarked. This augmentin is made by this company, and this is their trademark drug. Now that does not mean that another company cannot make amoxicillin clavulinate potassium, because the only thing that's been trademarked is that name. Okay, so our trade name there would then be augmentin, because it has the R again, and then our generic name is usually the ones that we cannot pronounce. In this case, amoxicillin, evulinate, potassium. And then it tells us a very important little bit for oral suspension. Okay, so we've taken care of our amoxicillin, and then for oral suspension. And then it has, let's just go ahead and read on down here. When reconstituted with 5 milliliters, when reconstituted, each 5 milliliters contains the amoxicillin 125 milligrams. Now that takes us back this sentence here and tells us exactly what this tells us. Okay? Because in our dosage, if we're getting ready to draw this up, say we're going to get a 5 cc syringe, we know that if we shake this bottle up good, and then we put 5 milliliters into that syringe, how many milligrams of the medicine are going to be there? Well, if there's 125 milligrams in 5 mils, and we have 5 milliliters in the syringe, how many milligrams are we going to have in that syringe? Ding, 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 125. Okay? So, let's all move down to the next one then. As it's going down through here, it's talked about not so much important information, but here, this says we have a 75 milliliter bottle when reconstituted. So that would be our total volume of this if it was all mixed up and we had not drawn any medication out yet. Okay? So now let's go down here through our questions. What is the concentration of this drug? Again, 125 milligrams in 5 milliliters. Okay? And then it says, what's the total volume of the vial? Well, we talked about that. This one said the total vial, when it's reconstituted, is or has how much in it? And that's going to be 75 milliliters. And then, what routes of administration can we give this in? Well, we go back up here and it tells us that this is for oral suspension. So does that mean we give it IV? No. Sublingual? No. It has one route, and that route should be oral.